Terrific. The call is trying to be recorded. And I want to start by saying thank you so much for being part of our 2018 Arts Delegation as part of Arts Day on April 20th. I also want to say that both Jennifer and Abril are on this call. They're muted, but they are available with all sorts of information and questions. If we cannot answer your questions as part of this call today, then please make sure that you reach out to us because we are here to help you. We also, as you'll see on the screen, for those who are not just calling on the audio, that we have on our website all of this information. So it's artsforla.org/arts_delegates_2018. And that site has the welcome information as well as all of the overview expectations that we're going to be discussing today, information about your delegation, other kinds of resources, and links to additional data so that you can make your stories really clear. The webinar is going to really go through what's going to happen on Arts Day. It's going to go through our policy agenda very briefly, walk you through the basics, and then we'll open this up for Q&A. You all are muted at this point. For the Q&A, I would ask you to please type into the chat window, and if that isn't working, I also, for those of you on the phone, I'm going to unmute the group at that point. But if those of you on laptops, if you can pose your questions that way so that we don't have multiple questions happening at the same time, I'd appreciate it. And then for those of you who don't know, I'm Sophia Kletzger. I'm the Executive Director of Arts for LA. It is my complete honor to be part of this Arts Month activity. All April, we are doing all sorts of civic engagement and making the arts highly visible as part of our communities and with our policymakers and legislatures. So this April 20th will be in City Hall. And I want to start just with that brief overview to say, why do we do this? We meet with the City Council offices, both advocates and City Council members. We want stronger relationships with one another. And so Arts Day gives us a unique opportunity to get face time on both sides of the fence. What's in it for the delegates? This is an opportunity for you to forge an ongoing relationship with your council member. For captains, and each of your groups has a dedicated captain, it's an opportunity for them to also show up and step into that leadership role. For the council member, it's an opportunity to learn more about the people and organizations doing effective work in their district and across the city. And for us at Arts for LA, we're a convener of the event, and it's an opportunity for us to demonstrate the breadth of our advocates, and we can contextualize the asks we are making in our legislative agenda for the day, which is an outgrowth of our policy framework. So I'll just very briefly go into this. The policy agenda for Arts for LA, and this is our larger, all year long, we focus on 5 different columns of advocacy. The first is pretty understandable. It's around the arts. We want more arts everywhere, available for everyone. And so we will advocate for an increase in access, equitable access, as well as visibility for all people in Los Angeles County. And that's all 88 cities, that's all 81 school districts, that's the unincorporated areas, that's people of different affiliations and different statuses. This is everyone. Arts education, we're really focused on making sure that all students, especially in public schools, are receiving a high-quality full education that includes arts education. In the past, we focused on the school day, but this also means after-school enrichment activities. How are we training teaching artists as well as credentialed classroom teachers and art specialists? This is also the higher education piece. It's a big bubble. And so we're committed to that, and we are a member of the LA County Arts Education Collective and align with their vision and mission as well. For the creative economy, this is the part where we really are looking at arts as a workforce. What's the pipeline? How do we make sure that students and young people have a way into the creative economy? We're not just talking nonprofit, we're talking commercial. How are we setting up our artists to have entrepreneurial skills? What are we doing to make sure that the existing workforce is diverse and actually represents the demographics of the region? And so that's kind of the big bubble. The Otis report really speaks to that. This is when we can make those economic arguments around our tax footprint and how big we are, that we're 1 in 6 jobs. These kinds of arguments, when I make them, are especially powerful with legislators who really are looking at return on investment when they're making decisions. This is not the kind of language we tend to use with general community members who are looking more at quality of life and other kinds of benefits to their life in a daily way, though we can make that claim. But the creative economy doesn't tend to be that moving as a legislative area for non-legislators. Civic engagement, this is that. We are doing the delegate visits. We are showing up. Arts supporters tend to vote in greater numbers than other areas and other support areas. And we are dedicated to get out the vote. We're dedicated to making sure that all policymakers understand the value of arts and culture, that they make a public statement around their support for arts and culture, and create policies and plans to implement for us. So this is a lot around elections and also around engagement in general. Finally, we have our social justice area, which is the arts and. This is arts and health, arts and housing, arts and gentrification, arts and justice, and on and on and on. It's arts and as a way of arts helping to achieve the success of some other social area, social community justice area outcomes. And so we're more of a tool than the interest itself. It's not just art for art's sake, which when you look at the policy agenda is really our first mandate, is that we want more arts everywhere. For this Arts Day, we are going to be looking at supporting, and hopefully you all received in advance, the arts and culture priorities for the city of Los Angeles. We're really looking to, let me interrupt myself and just say, we are so lucky to live in Los Angeles, and we are so lucky to have a city council and mayor and a Department of Cultural Affairs that all work together and are deeply invested in making sure that arts and culture are part of our fabric, the fabric of our communities and of our lives. That said, there are always ways to improve that. And so instead of other parts of the country where you have advocacy that's about starting to get funding, starting to get more resources, we are now asking for an increase in existing resources, equitable distribution of those resources, and a reinvestment in some of the programs that had been funded in the past that are currently not being funded. Specifically, the Department of Cultural Affairs is funded through the TOT, which is the Transient and Occupancy Tax. This is hotels. They get a percentage of that tax. The issue is that we've had, in a great way, especially as we look at the state of the world, Los Angeles has seen an increase in tourism that exceeded the estimates and expectations for the last few years. But the estimate of what the Department of Cultural Affairs will receive is their budget is based on a beginning of the year estimate. It's not based on the actual end of year tourism numbers. And so we're looking to have a conversation with our council members around how to adjust the DCA budget so that they're receiving their full percentage share as it is listed and passed as part of the revenue stream for distribution of funds, so they're receiving the full amount that they are owed when we talk about a positive increase in tourism. We're also asking about funding for the commissioning and conservation of fine art murals. This is, we were a long time ago considered a mural city, and then we had a period where murals were not being created, that we had some legislation against the creation of murals on private property, and that we didn't have funding for the restoration of murals. And in 2013, The city adopted the mural ordinance to allow for the creation of new original art murals on private property. There's also now a database for the tracking of the creation of murals, and so we're asking for them to restart funding for the commissioning of new murals and for the resources to restore existing. More generally, we really do want you, when you're having these one-on-one meetings or 5-on-1 meetings, to have a conversation with your council member around this idea of, are we as a city and are they as a council doing everything in their power to make sure that the culture ecology is supported? And this comes from this idea that many of our private foundations have started to change their giving, and they're not giving specifically in the arts any longer. The arts will still be funded if they are aligning with other social justice issues and outcomes. But as the arts specifically, they aren't. And so we need to look to our public agencies to find out, what are we doing both for public funding and for creating a strong infrastructure to make sure that that support remains in place? I think secondarily to that is, how do we maximize the investment in arts and culture in this changing funding landscape? So as we see private foundations shifting, what can we be doing to maximize investment? And what can we do to ensure artists can continue to live and work in Los Angeles? We know that this is a big issue. It's not just affecting artists, but specifically the arts world is a bellwether for where the costs become too high and the displacement of people who have been in neighborhoods for a long time. And so we want to make sure that we have safe and affordable housing for our art creators. That is the Department of Cultural Affairs, our policy agenda for this April 20th Arts Day. When I think about what you can do, oh, you know what I skipped over, my friends? Hold on one second. So I went into this, but I didn't actually get a chance to say, hey, here's what's going to happen on April 20th. So let me back up really fast. So we talked about why we do this, building long-term elements of the day. This day, so I'm going to get nuts and bolts really fast. You can't get into the building before 8:30. So though we want you to be early, if you're too early, you're going to be outside. At 8:30, we'll be able to come in and networking will start, and we'll have coffee available. We will have presentations starting between 9:15 and 9:30. Our timing is a little dependent on when the council member comes in. And we're going to have young people performing in the rotunda. They're cellos from the Yola. And we will have a conversation, speakers from the Dance Resource Center, from myself, and from Councilman O'Farrell. And this year, we're also going to enliven the rotunda with dance. And Blue 13 has choreographed a fabulous dance that is available on our website. We'll make sure that you have that link. And we will be doing a flash mob as we finish our rotunda presentations and move into the chamber. And my hope is that we have as many people dancing as possible. This is not about perfection. This is about excitement and celebration. And so not only do we hope that you will participate in this dance, but that you will also bring your friends so that they will come and dance in City Hall with us. The 10 a.m. is when we start the council meeting. At that point, we are going to have speakers representing a few different perspectives. It will be Betty Avila from Self-Help Graphics, Yaya Gomez, who is a high school student who is part of the Center Theater Group Student Ambassador Program. Amir Whitaker is the staff attorney at American Civil Liberties Union, and myself and the council member O'Farrell. And this will be a chance for us to talk about the importance of arts and culture with civil rights, with leadership and civic engagement and students and arts education, as well as in community. We're going to then take a photo outside, and this is at 11 a.m. usually, give or take. Everything has to be a little bit flexible day of, given what's happening with the meeting. If SEIU and the union is there, that's going to shift some of our timing and what we're able to do, but we stay flexible. we go out to Spring Street on the City Hall steps, and we take a picture, everyone in their red T-shirts. This is very powerful. It's usually a great photo moment. We try to do a big spread of this, and so we definitely want you to be part of that. And then the important part for you begins. At 11:45, we're going to all go up to the 4th floor for your delegation check-in and lunch. We'll have box lunches for you, and this will be a chance for you to meet in person with your captain and fellow delegation. Your meetings are going to take place between 1 and 3, and we have 9 of the 15 fully scheduled. We're just finalizing the other 6 right now, but these are going to be about 20 minutes. They don't take a long time. And then what we're inviting you to do is come back after your meeting. From 1:30 to 3:30, you'll come back into that room and help us with the debrief and evaluation, and then you can go. This should be a pretty fabulous day. We're very excited. The council is very excited. They're looking forward to meeting with you. I met with the Arts, Parks, Entertainment, River Committee yesterday, and there is a lot of excitement from the council about meeting with you. Okay. So now, from the logistics of the timing, let's go into a little bit of what you can do during your visit. I would say you can focus on why you support arts and culture. You definitely should share a personal story. You definitely should focus on how you have been funded by the Department of Cultural Affairs or interact with some organization that is funded by Department of Cultural Affairs. If you go to the DCA website, and again, all of those links are available on our website for the delegation. When you go to the Department of Cultural Affairs website, there's this fabulous new tool where you can do a search for what's happening around you, but you can then also do a search for who is being funded in each district. And so if you're in CD11, you can type in CD11 or your zip code, and it will show you everyone who's being funded as well as all of the calendar of events that are happening right now. I highly recommend that you go and look because you're going to want to make sure that you're speaking to the very present tense case of who's being funded. And if we're talking about equity and you know of a lot of organizations that are not currently being funded, this would be a time to bring that up as well. We do know that the need for funding from DCA exceeds the resources that the department currently has, which is why we're trying to make this case around the TOT and getting the full allocation that they deserve based on the percentage of actual money coming in. The other thing that I will say is there's going to come up at some point, likely, a conversation around the distribution of the mural money or the public art money, the developer fee money. And this is tricky because each district has slight discretionary usage of the monies, but DCA needs to oversee the process of how it is contracted and then distributed. And so there is really a way to use that fund, and every council district has a very different perspective of what that usage and ability to access it is. The good news is we do have a lot of projects in every district that are underway right now. And I think the full list of that, it was a report filed with the committee, the Arts Committee in December from the Department of Cultural Affairs, where you can look and see every single project that's underway right now across the entire city. And I definitely would recommend looking up that too. Of note around this is that if we don't use all the money that we have, it's really hard to advocate for more money. So we want to encourage usage and encumbering that money now so that we as advocates next year can actually ask for more. Okay. The other thing is that we want to ask for questions about their support. What's their interest? How's your council person engaged? What's their do they have an art practice of some kind? Okay. And then here's the things that should not happen. Please, please, please. This is not the time to directly request funding for your own organization or yourself as an artist. We know that by being in the room, you're going to create a new relationship with the council person, and that's fabulous. I would say everyone bring your business cards. You are building that relationship. You're building a one-on-one, but we are also going in as a united front. We're going in as a group, and so we want to be united in our advocacy for the larger arts sector around this infrastructure of the Department of Cultural Affairs, and then sharing what's happening on the ground, again, in a united way. This is also not the time, if you have pre-existing relationships, to follow up on an existing ask or anything of a personal nature or organizational nature that you have with the council person. Again, you can follow up afterward. In fact, the best thing you could do is email the council person after your meeting to thank them and then invite them to come to see your work in action that was referenced during the meeting. And when you reference yourself, you're going to be referencing yourself in the larger context of the arts sector. So it's really, this is a nuanced distinction, but we'd like there to not be any personal asks during this so that we can maintain the conversation at the top level of the system. I would say that it's really hard to anticipate who's going to be in the room. And so sometimes you're going to meet actually with staff. You might not be able to meet with the council member themselves. And so we're going to ask you to be nimble and flexible. We want you to be your most upbeat self for these meetings, and to remember that we represent some of the best parts of the council and the council person's day. And so helping them find us as a solution partner, even though we're asking for more and really holding them accountable, that we're doing it in this partnership framework, that we're not trying to get them, we're actually trying to help them succeed, and that helps us succeed as a sector and as a community. I would say now is the time, if you haven't already met with your captain, to make sure that you've had a call with your captain to know who they are and start to frame out with bullet points or an outline your personal stories that you want to bring into the room. I would not expect that you're going to talk for more than 2 or 3 minutes individually. It's not a long time. It's going to go very fast. It's really important to look at the council person themselves and their priorities and try and tie that back. And that you're going to want to make sure that you connect with the whole group and figure out who is going to talk about what. If you have a chance to rehearse, that's great. Many of you during that lunchtime are going to have some time before your meeting, and that might be a time to really plan the who's going to talk about what. I would suggest that the captain actually introduce the whole group to the council member, and then each person introduces themselves and who they're representing, if they're an individual, if they're a parent, if they're an organization. But to have the captain go first is usually helpful. When you are developing your talking points, really think about what unique perspective you're bringing in as an artist, an arts organization, or a resident of the district. I would ask you to consider what significant experience you've had with arts and culture in the district. And that can be something that you've attended, seen, or seen as that's absent. How have you seen lives affected and improved by arts and culture in the district? Again, sharing things that the council member might not know about is really, really useful. And talking about your connection to that place is really, really useful. Not everyone on the delegation lives in each of the districts, but I believe that everyone on the delegation serves in the district in some way. And so if for whatever reason you're not a voter in the district that you are a part of the delegation, definitely it's still good to be in the room and talk about how you serve that area by serving all of Los Angeles. Or if you are specifically working in, say, a school in this district, but you work across the county in lots of schools, focus on that one school. We are in the midst of Arts Month. We have 4 weeks of advocacy. We have a regional focus. We're doing a data collection at the end of the month. Obviously, we're talking right now about Arts Day on April 20th, and we have a series of partnership events. All of this is in a calendar on our website. And now I'm going to open up. Let's see if I can do this. I am going to open up to the participant list. Let's see. Can I Everyone is unmuted. And so if you have questions, I'm pulling up the chat window. Oh my goodness. I cannot hear audio. Can you? Was I just talking without anyone hearing? Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Hi, this is Carolyn from District 4.
Hi.
And hi, I'm really eager to meet with my captain. I haven't met them or had any contact with them.
So, Abril, I don't know if you can unmute. I know that you're probably through your browser. I believe that every group, the captains should have been setting up calls. But, Abril, if you could reach out and if you can speak to that, I'd appreciate it.
Yes. So, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So the captains received a notification with email contacts for everyone in their delegation and the conference call lines that folks to share with you. If you haven't heard from your captain, please email me at ainiguez@artsforla.org, and I can make sure to connect you with the captain for your delegation.
Thank you.
Now, you should have Abril's email already in your inbox if you didn't catch that very quickly. And also, you'll find her information on our website. I'm also seeing from Nakima that you want the Department of Cultural Affairs for the City of Los Angeles. It's their website that has the full listing of all the organizations that are funded by the city through DCA and the projects that are underway as part of the redevelopment fees. So, and I believe that we have links to those at artsforla.org at the Delegate site. Let me see if I can get back into the slides to find the link again. All right, I'm going to try and bring that window up. While I'm doing that, does anyone have any other questions? All right, can you see if you're on a screen, now you should be able to see the artsforla.org/arts_delegates_2018, and that is the page that will have all the links to the additional information that you'll need to start building your story. Anyone else? Well, it is such a pleasure to be able to work with you. We're really excited that you're part of this process. We are going to see you next week. Come prepared to dance. Come prepared to have fun. Come prepared with your stories. And I am so, so excited to be doing this with you. So I'll see you next week at City Hall. All right. Take care, everyone.